was a lot of bewilderment, a lot of fear, really, about what the future might hold.
The first 3 weeks of lockdown were really difficult for everybody, I think. That uncertainty of what's happening, what are we doing, what's available. My footfall's gone.
My initial reaction was, blimey, how do we kind of get through all this?
And there was just huge uncertainty. Shop owners put so much passion and soul into what they do. Otherwise, why would they be working 70 hours a week? To sum it up in one sort of phrase, uncertainty, that was the hardest part.
I think a lot of people had a certain view of the high street and independent shops anyway. And I think a lot of people would probably agree that it was on the downward slope because of things like Amazon and your big multinationals and stuff. But actually, Graham's message was that, if nothing else, lockdown kind of forced people to reevaluate the high street. I was really excited to speak with Graham Soult. We met him in Chesley Street. We spoke with him about how the humble high street has had to adapt and is adapting. And obviously, at the time when we spoke to him, it was still very much in a state of flux, and it was really uncertain if a lot of businesses were going to make it.
I've been described as a Northeast Mary Porter, so I kind of go around places working with towns, with retailers to help them celebrate all the good stuff that is there and to prove that the high streets aren't in fact dying, and there's lots of good stuff already there, vibrant independence, people doing really creative stuff. So I big up all that, and I try and encourage more people onto the high street and to discover all the good things that are often there on their doorstep.
We also spoke to Andrew Bartlett, who is another big advocate of saving the high street, so much so that he co-runs a campaign called Save the High Street. But what we mainly spoke to him about when we met him again in Chesley Street, our local town, was his app called Roam Local.
It's an app on your iPhone. Basically, it's a destination guide. But what we're doing with it is we're evolving the digital footprint of every town and city across the UK. We're putting the power to the businesses to be able to keep customer retention through app technology. When a venue claims their listing on Roam, that effectively acts as their own app. They can send customers push notifications, add images, news, offers, events, loyalty deals, anything that they want to voice. They can voice it through the app platform. And like you say, once they claim it, it becomes their own. They can take complete control of it.
Before speaking with Andrew, I knew that he was going to say that lockdown had a profound impact on the way that people treat local businesses in the high street. But I don't think I realised just how big an effect it actually had.
The focus of technology in places like high streets has come forward about 5 to 7 years.
We started to see quite a lot of the creativity coming, and businesses thinking, okay, if I'm allowed to trade still as an essential retailer, how do I make that work? How do I do it safely? How do I do it effectively? And then all the businesses that couldn't open have been trying to find ways of working to keep some money coming in. It's opened them up to customers who had never heard of them before, never experienced them before. So as hopefully, after this is all over, some of the businesses will have gained a new fan base, off the back of embracing online and all the other ways of serving customers in new ways during lockdown.
Lots of shops and other businesses on the high street, they were just relying on the footfall, and they're all working 70-hour weeks anyway. So they don't actually have the opportunity to look into new ideas. Now, lockdowns gave them that opportunity to look at new ideas and also understand the value of we need digital revenue streams. It's not necessarily cutting off your footfall, but it's just adding extra income streams. Why not have a website and an app and the footfall rather than just the footfall? You're trebling it already. It's just that focus, that mindset has really shifted. I've seen websites being thrown up overnight, from these people that have said, no, I haven't got time for that. Suddenly had time, started developing, started looking at new avenues, started looking at tools like ours, the Roam Local app.
All these small retailers selling essential products have really kind of upped their game and risen to the challenge. All being well, people are going to remember that. In plenty of towns, there's been a real drop-off in terms of social media activity as businesses have closed their doors and literally turned everything off. And what's been nice in Chesley Street is that I haven't detected that. Actually, I've detected more activity on social media than usual as businesses in the town, whether they're open at the moment or not, have really been out there telling people what they're doing, how they're feeling, and building that relationship, that rapport that's going to be so important in the future.
There's been a huge focus on the support local narrative, which is great. One of our taglines is, if we can focus on local, it only builds better local communities, which further the opportunities for the people who live and work there. One thing that we would see all the time is that businesses like these here would say, digital's the problem. Amazon Prime, websites, they're such a problem to us. But actually what we're trying to say with our Roam Local campaign is, why look at digital as a problem? Why not use it as a solution? And the mindset that has been shifted with the businesses around us in every sort of town and city across the UK, their mindset has shifted to be able to understand that and realise that actually without footfall we do need digital as a solution. There was a study I was reading yesterday, down south, where 70% of people would rather support local than just buy off the likes of Amazon. Now 70% of people would rather do that, but the difficulty was that there was no infrastructure there for the servicing and the offering to be put out from local businesses. What we provide with Roam is the ability for the businesses to have that sort of Just Eat, that Amazon Prime, Google My Business on steroids feel.
Even before coronavirus, I was a champion and an optimist about the high street, and that hasn't changed. The high street has always been a thing that's evolved. It's never been the same in kind of any one decade from the previous one. All that's happening now is that the pace of change is probably a bit faster, and certainly in the last 3 months the pace of change has been ridiculous. But I think ultimately people do want to kind of shop on their local high street. They want the convenience of these kind of products and services being available, and from a social point of view, from a mental well-being point of view, people want to get out there and engage with real human beings.
There will always be the need for experiences. Mums taking their kids in before school to get new school shoes. You're always going to have people going to cafes for meetings. You're always going to have people going to pubs, clubs, restaurants, cinemas. You're always going to need this experience. But why not further their experiences by creating an online portal to be able to keep supporting them, even from the comfort of their own home.
So our high streets have a future. It won't be quite as much about retail, but I think the retail that will be there will be increasingly about those independent, distinctive, local businesses that really are rooted in their communities and give something back to their communities.
What I've learned is that when push does come to shove, people can adapt very quickly. You see even 70-year-old, 78-year-old parents Zooming with their families from different ends of the country. People are more connected now after lockdown than they ever were before. And it's really been able to help all demographics just adapt to this way of life. It's been really interesting to see this. And I think it just goes to show, with a bit of education and with a little bit of when push comes to shove, anything is kind of possible in these situations.
I think we've seen a renewed appreciation of the value of small businesses, and I think an appreciation of what people can find on their doorstep sometimes. People are discovering and rediscovering what they can find in their local town centres. It has been challenging, of course, but I think I've been very impressed at how some of the businesses in a town like this have really kind of picked themselves up and looked at the opportunities and thought, okay, how do we get through this? How do we come out stronger? And certainly I've been focusing on the positives as much as I can. All you can do is try and look forward. And again, I've been quite heartened by how few businesses have let this defeat them so far. I'm very hopeful that in the future, a town like Chesterley Street is well equipped to navigate both the impacts of coronavirus and how the high street has been changing anyway, because we've got some really good independents here. 2/3 of the town are independents, and we've really seen all their resourcefulness and creativity and drive come through in the last few weeks. I think people have rediscovered the joy of a stress-free shop in a smaller business, and independents are well equipped to offer that.
More than ever, business leaders want to learn from other business leaders.
So I'm really hoping that we manage to learn some of those things and take them forward back into normal life when that does eventually come back.
The future is looking really exciting, and we really want to help shape the future of shopping small.
I believe this is the time, instead of trying to find opportunities, I believe this is the time to start to create opportunities. And that would be the one piece of advice I would give someone is stop going in search and finding something, pause, stop, and start looking at creating something. Because right there and then, you'll start to see your opportunities that are right in front. You'll see the next step.